Over the last few lectures, we met a lot of different types of selectors, and we're moving on to a completely different type of selector group in this lecture. And in this one, we're actually going to talk about selectors that enable you to inject content into your HTML page. And yes, you heard me right. With the help of CSS, you can actually add content dynamically into your pages. This can become very useful if you have a digital book and want to add chapters or paragraphs or things that repeat themselves throughout. For example, if you're a news agency and you want to just inject in the middle of the article a text that would say, don't forget to register to our website, or a text that would repeat over throughout your website without cluttering your actual content, making it easy for you then down the line to go to that content and change it, because it is in many ways a visual content. It's not really part of the document. It's more of a decoration that is added into the content. So by the end of this lecture, you're going to know how to add content before and after different elements. So let's jump right into it. The next group of selectors we're going to take a look at are selectors that enable us to add content into our HTML page. Now, if you took our Absolute CSS course, then you already discovered the before and after selectors. They're very different than most other selectors that are out there, but we're going to spend a little bit of time with it. Even if you've seen it already before, it'll be a little bit of rehearsal. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a very complicated example because it's already one that we've met before. Now, I want to go ahead and first define what are we trying to select. And what I really want to do, if I go back to my HTML, I want to make sure that every language that is listed will have the word new before it, except for the ones that are disabled, and have everything that is disabled right after it say coming soon. So I'm going to go ahead and build that. It is quite impressive. So I'm going to start off by defining that I want it only to happen to an input item, and I only want it to happen to input items that have a name of language. All right, so we're already weeding out the levels. And I only want items that are enabled. And again, because we don't want to change the actual checkbox itself, or the radio box in this case, we want to go ahead and ask for that next to brother, the item that is right next to it, and I'm going to ask for the label right next to it. Not only do I want the label, I want to go ahead and say, by the way, label, and I'm going to put here 2 colons, and then the word before. And that will enable me to basically say, hey, I want to go to the label, and before that label, just before or right in the beginning of that label, I want to go ahead and add here some content. And this content needs to be just plain text. And in this case, I'm going to write here new, and I'm going to put here a space. And if I save this and go back into my application, we'll see that now every single item will have the word new right before it. Very powerful, very advanced. So I'm going to go ahead here and just duplicate this item because I want to basically create the exact same thing, but I'm going to go ahead and do it for our disabled items. And instead of setting it to be before, again, double colon, and I'm going to set after. So I'm going to go ahead here, and for our content, I'm just going to set here soon will be added. That's way better. And if I go ahead here and click on refresh, we'll see a really long soon will be added right inside of our element here that is disabled. And by the way, that gray is just so horrid. I'm going to go ahead and just set it to be a much darker gray, or even set it to be almost black. So I'm going to go ahead here and just set here 11111. Save that, click on refresh because it's just illegible at this stage. Oh, that was for enabled. So for disabled, I'm going to go ahead and it has to be gray, but it's just that gray just doesn't work because we're working with a blue monitor. So I'm going to go ahead here and just select the color here and just select here something that is dark, but not as dark as our other copy. So it'll make it easier to see that it's basically not really selected. I'm going to go ahead here and hopefully this color will be a little bit easier to read. Probably not. Oh, yeah, here we go. I put here too many. And there we go. All right, that works for me. Not as legible still, but at least it doesn't look harsh and bad. So there we go. Those were our before and after content adding selectors. And we'll see you in the next lecture. We're still running through selectors. There's many more to come.